The Quest of Desolation. Chapter 12. We're Going to Hell. Departing from Nexus City, our party heads to Charchar, the regional hub of the agricultural district known as the region of Tarnus in Babilasu, where Flint makes a miraculous discovery that his sister, Yamina Yeastwood, is actually still alive, and that she had been revived by leaders in the town, including Councillor Harlow White. From there, our adventuring party heads eastward, towards Fenru Village, where breaking news is occurring. A siege at Fenru Village by Esmeen troops that have crossed into Babilasu territory for the first time in centuries, and they lay waste and siege to the small village, after destroying the North Falls fortress to the northeast. A group of adventurers, our party known as the Glorious Bastards, along with hundreds of Babilasu troops, successfully fend off the invasion and defeat Esmeen forces in a battle that will make history. Nearly half of the village, notably the exterior portions and the wooden walls, were destroyed in the process, and massive explosions were documented to occur around the village. During this attack, hundreds of casualties, including deaths from our party members such as Atlasia, Trixie, and party companion, the giant badger, Francis. But, thanks to some divine intervention, Atlasia is revived by divine forces that we have yet to explain. And, thanks to that, she is able to bring back both Francis and Trixie. Black and Ephraim rejoin the group here after they had been helping Dr. Urog for several days. As a token of gratitude, a young girl and her father present Trixie with some leather armor, which later proves to be an armament of creation. Recovering from this fight, our group heads northeast to the now destroyed North Falls Fortress, which will be rebuilt following the invasion over the next several years. From here, our party scales the cliffs of the Sulphur Chasms and enters an abandoned shack. They solve a quick puzzle that allows them to uncover the long-lost portal to the Nine Hells. And here, they pass through the mysterious gateway to a fiery plain waiting for them on the other side. With a rough fall through the portal, our party finds themselves atop a tall mountain in a land covered in viscous blood ooze, fireballs occasionally raining down from the skies, and devils on patrol regularly. Initially, our adventurers attempt to evade these creatures, aside from Kualias being captured early on. It isn't until after a few encounters that our party is found and seized by the legions of Archdevil Barkreviek, whose questions beg the mortals of how they found themselves to the Nine Realms in the first place, and why they are in the first layer of the Nine Hells, known as Avernus. Our party, attempting to be honest with Archdevil Barkreviek, is freed by him, giving them only a slight sense of direction towards the second layer of hell, which is Dis. But our party makes a wrong turn, as navigation in this hell-spaced landscape is difficult, if not impossible. They make a slight error, and instead of heading towards Dis, they make the already wrongful turn that leads them to the fortress of the retired Archdevil, Bel, who is not so forgiving of mortal trespassers in his plane. In an attempt to secure the continued living of our party, they make a critical blood contract with Archdevil Bel to bring him 200 soul coins, which are a powerful and mysterious currency of hell, which, if they do, will be wrought in exchange for their lives, to not immediately end and damned. Our party departs once again, crossing the river Styx and then a chasm of boiling blood at the ruins of Darkspine, the turn that they had missed previously. Our wary adventurers, unsure of how they had traversed these barren plains, finally enter the second of the Nine Hells, the region of Dis. In a march through the long, treacherous God Street, our party sees every divine being that they've ever known turn away from them in a disheartening endeavor. But the light comes at the end of the valley, as they say, with the city of Dis on the far horizon. The glorious bastards find themselves in the city of Dis, after what feels like an eternity of walking towards it. The streets, paved with skulls and rods of hot iron that burn the skin. They are joined by tiefling sorcerer Sevrokta, and they navigate the underground layers of the city, attempting to evade being caught by the devils patrolling the streets above. And, after careful path-picking, our party finally makes it to an open room beyond the tunnels. Just when they think that they're in the clear, they are bombarded by a barbed devil, who catches them cold in their tracks. Or hot, I should say. A quick fight leaves the devil defeated, but reveals new information about Trixie, who had been concealing her true identity as a wizard, by disguising herself as a bard. Thanks to Sir Frocta's help, our adventurers escape the city of Dis, and head towards the third realm of hell, Monaros. Here, rains of acid and glass pelt an expansive, murky swamp of poisoned and diseased waters. They trudge through the marshes, and they encounter a being of power known as Aroxath, an elevated pit fiend, a devil, wielding the shard gauntlets, an armored of creation. The battle ensues, and land masses begin flying above the swamps, combat filled with fire and flying, and the horrific devil that opposes them. The battle drags on, with many in our party facing the fury of one of Hell's strongest enemies. The party scores a narrow victory over Aroxath, but not after Black suffers a fatal and destructive blow. In the moments prior to Aroxath's fall, he unleashes a screech, a curse, an incantation, a hex, some demonic speech. But they choose to ignore it, at least for now. Thankfully, Atlasia, being a cleric, is able to revive Black, only for that to be the final act before our party is plunged into darkness, swallowed by the swamps, and they awaken in hospital beds in Dallas, Texas, in 1983. Our party, waking up in a strange new world, told that they have been involved in a computer simulation program known as Project Alethea. They find themselves in downtown Dallas, Texas. After being released on June 2nd of 1983, weird events slowly prove they are caught in a repeating time loop, something far out of the ordinary. They retain information from the previous cycles, except for when they perish and have to relearn it all over again. Our heroes, not sure if they should seek a way out of this environment or if this is the environment they will die in. They slowly start to break down, and the environment does so with them. More and more odd and then major occurrences revealing that something is very wrong. Finally, Dallas is transformed overnight into a coastal city. Dr. D.D. Logan sees Flint through the mask of Frederick Yale. Massive events lead to a crucial escape plot that our party must devise to escape Dallas. Some of them escape by fleeing the state of Texas altogether. Others re-enter themselves into the quote-unquote original program and escape. And the rest must face off Dr. Asher Donovan, a cryptic elderly man in charge of supervising the program. But, nonetheless, our entire party finally frees themselves from the clutches of a false world, and as they sort truths from falsehoods, they reawaken in the world of Alethea, submerged in the swamps of Monaros and the Nine Hills. And quickly, they realize after they are back, they must pull off the dark tendrils that forced them into the nightmare false world in the first place, and they must gather themselves once again to continue their journey. Jolted awake, back in the Monaran swamps, once again, the acid waters and poisoned, diseased landscape, Our party sorts fact from fiction, and they navigate the diseased marshes until they arrive at the outskirts of the city of Menaros. Trixie seeks to speak with the devil that might be able to guide them and the party to find soul coins, where she and the rest of the team learn that those soul coins are held in one place, beneath Archdevil Mammon's sinking fortress. Trixie slips and falls through a broken board on the elevated city of Menaros, and she comes face to face with a small red imp, one that had been spying on them for some time. Trixie, however, persuades the imp, whose name is Riz, to actually leave behind his old ways and join the party as a companion. Riz, who perhaps dislikes his employment in Hell, agrees to plot and steal the coins and aid the party. Careful planning between Urogar and Riz, along with the rest of the party, Urogar goes in under the guise of the devil Aroxath to speak with Archdevil Mammon. Another team, while Riz and Urogar keep them busy, would infiltrate the vault and procure the coins needed to fulfill their contract with Bel. In a dangerous but skillful attempt, our party fled Menaros with enough soul coins to pay their debts to Bel, and to have some left over. Our party pays their quickness to the contract, and Bel, surprised and grateful to see them, rewards them. He frees them of their bound souls, ensures them that they will have food when they need it, gives the group a map of Hell, and that provides insight to where the possible location of the Amulet of Rest might be, located somewhere in the depths of the realm of Stygia, the fifth realm of Hell. Once again, our party departs. They traverse Avernus, and then Dis, and then they enter the fourth realm of Hell, Flethagos. And only then are they learned that the extra soul coins that they had won't get them very far. Once in Flethagos, scorching grounds and soaring temperatures, our party finds themselves in the city of Abrimok, where they must pay a fee to be let in, and they must set up camp from their exhaustion. When Urogar, Nyx, and Trixie awaken from their slumber, they are met with the face of a beautiful onlooker, a woman who greets them before showing a darker side. By the name Fierna, she demands that they tell her why they are here, but becomes enticed when she learns that they seek the Amulet of Rest. In a careful but life-threatening barter, Fierna informs the group that the amulet they seek is held by Tizaktik, who serves under Demonganorgus in Stygia. For this valuable information, however, our party pays the currencies they have, and they must flee the city after the encounter, once again on the road towards the fifth lair of Stygia. Finally, reaching the edges of Flethagos and Stygia, our heroes must descend into the duelist chasm in order to reach the other side. Narrow paths and sharp cliffs force out of the walls, and they force the group to slowly descend into the seemingly bottomless chasm. A long descent, a narrow pathway, and a jutting rock bridge that crosses over the canyon. Here, magma rivers drain into the chasm and solidify, almost instantaneously, into crystalline structures and gems. Far from the rocky faces of the cliffs, the natural bridges link across the darkened pits below. Finally, after a long and tedious hike, our party finds a carved-out bowl that seemingly serves as an arena for devil combatants to fight each other. Our party is hesitant to even enter this area, but they learn that they must pass through this fighting pit in order to reach the path that leads up to Stygia on the other side. And while they do attempt to navigate through the arena, they are roped into fighting into a tournament, where they face off against an entire group of Arenes, known as the Fallen Angels, a group of ice devils who go by the title Hellfire, and even the pit fiend owner and supervisor of the ring, Thorod. In a deadly fight, our party emerges hurt, but victorious. Thorad, impressed by their skill, awards them with soul coins, healing potions, and a random key. Our heroes, battered, but still ready to go, depart the fighting pit and head off towards Stygia, hoping to escape this wretched realm as soon as they can. Our party sets out from the Duelist Chasm arena, making the length and treacherous hike up the opposite chasm wall as they head towards Stygia, the fifth realm of hell. Along the way, strange sights are seen, such as waterfalls, but more like water rises, rising up from the base of the chasm, as if disobeying gravity itself. The air begins to cool and then drop. A swift gust of freezing air indicates the closing gap to Stygia. Finally, cresting their hike out of the chasm, our party decides to quicken their journey to Tantalon by sledding instead of walking. Quickly, this harming less and enticing race becomes competitive and a fun group activity, and perhaps the only fun that they'll see in hell thus far. But a short competitive game quickly gets out of hand, and our party accidentally starts an avalanche, coming in a bit fast for the most part. Many members of our party crash into buildings in Tantalon. Bruised but alive, our party faces the scrutiny of the ice devils that live there, and the rapidly approaching avalanche. Without hesitation, our party flees the stilted outpost, narrowly escaping Tantalon aboard a Styx raft with the ferryman. Our party now sets their sights on the lair of Demonganoris, the resting place of the amulet of rest that they seek. They set sail across the deep blue Stygian oceans, with water so cold it freezes anything it touches immediately, but not frozen itself. Not long after they set sail across this raging ocean, a jagged rock protrudes in the distance. A crooked tower sits atop it. And, not long after this, the ferryman docks on the shores of this strange place, a presence of evil emanating and surrounding it. But, nonetheless, they enter. The large stone and iron-like doors creak open as they approach, as if the tower was somehow expecting their arrival. Inside, a locked door awaits their solve. A door with 120 keyholes in such triangular pattern, and yet no keys, or so they think. Urogar pulls out the strange key from Thorod, inserting it into a random slot. And while it might have been a wrong entry point, he catches a faint glimpse of the key's reflection in a nearby mirror. And then suddenly, the key morphs and changes into a new key, one with a strange inscription on it. Trixie follows suit, producing the key that she swiped from a random passerby in Nexus City so long ago. And it too morphs. It doesn't take much more time after this for them to solve the lock, leading them further and deeper into the tower. A maze of passages and corridors awaits them, some real and some not, leading them to various parts of the tower, staircases and hallways, each changing at random moments, making navigation through this tower challenging. The party uncovers some horrific things about their enemy before they meet him face to face on the 4th floor of the tower. Tizaktik, an archlich of Demonganoris, with piercing, dead, yellow eyes. He inflicts insults into their minds, revealing some deep fears and secrets, including the long unknown relationship between Flint and Ephraim as brothers. A treacherous combat ensues. They must fight the undead necromancer, whose neck is adorned by the amulet that they seek. In a near flash, Kuelias and Flint are killed in a single fell blow from Tizaktik, his finger outstretched as he cast powerful dark magic. The battle, while short, is costly. Urogar also perishes in this combat, but he somehow rises, once more, from an unexplained cause, catching Tizaktik off guard and dealing the final blow. Tizaktik, falling, speaks one final line. "It's hard to kill something that's already dead," before he disintegrates into ash, surely to return again. The battle over, 2 people dead, Flint's gun now flashing a glowing blue, radiating energy as it heats up and destabilizes. Our party, dead companions in hand, flee the chamber only after Nyx grabs a small chest. Once they flee into the corridor, running down the chamber, the explosion of Flint's gun shakes the building, shifting it slightly. With a clock quickly ticking, Urogar opens the chest that Nyx grabbed, producing 4 diamonds and a number of other gemstones. Ephraim and Atlasia, the healers of the group, tag-team the narrow revival of Flint and Kualias, a stressful and difficult task in such a place filled with necrotic energy and death. But the miracle of life is once restored, and the 2 return to breath. Our party, whole once again, quickly departs the tower, and then makes their expedient retreat to the Anqugat, a temple with a portal that can return them to their rightful plane, the material plane. They make camp at the base of such a structure, but they are disturbed in the midst of their rest, as a massive fireball, a meteor even, rockets towards them, a sure sign that Tzactic is far from being truly defeated. Nyx, quickly alerting his party, they all flee. Unfortunately, the beloved pocket campsite could not be revived and retrieved fast enough, and they narrowly dart up the structure, with the meteor making impact, shaking the very tower itself. Our party, reaching the top finally, can see their escape, a portal. They ignite it without delay and jump through, not knowing where it will take them on the material plane, but happy nonetheless to see the other side. The glorious bastards make their return to the material plane, falling from the sky and landing in Hell's Gate, the arena within Pronathia City. Here, Urogar's Aunt Margaret and Uncle Karn welcome him and help the party learn they have been gone for only 10 days in the material plane, but it has been a whole decade in Hell. They depart from the arena, and just as they do, they bump into 2 noble ladies, the princesses of the royal house of Pupilisu, Princess Lyra and Princess Hyrelia. They stop a quick shopping trip before acknowledging that a mutual interest is shared between the 2, both the princesses and our group themselves. In this shopping trip, Flint acquires his new 4-piece gun set from Dr. Urog, who is there on a seemingly interesting business trip. And Flint also acquires his armament of creation, a coin known as Canadoro. Joining the princesses on their journey to Lumbertown to attend Tabs, the annual Baldridge Summit, at the Baldridge Manor. They return the Amulet of Rest to Lycree along the way, who is grateful but concerned when she recognizes that some tampering has been done to the amulet while out of her possession for the last few millennia. They venture to Lumbertown, where they prepare the banquet, and where Nyx and Regedrum, having a sharing of feelings and a heart-to-heart that warms both the hearts of them as they finally begin to build their friendship. The glorious bastards and the princesses attend Tabs, and a night filled with dancing slowly turns to mystery, as our party follows the trail of Cedric Baldridge and learns of his deep involvement and connection with the Undershadows. In an epic combat versus 2 members simply known as Number 1 and Number 2, Cedric, who is also known as Number 4, and also against Nyx's love interest, Dizzy, better known as Alencia Raydove. This combat sees Nyx fall at the hands of this woman after she uses an armament of creation against her will and watches the love of her life fade to death. With the other 3 escaping and Nyx left lifeless on the floor, in the servant storage room on the 3rd floor of the manor, Alencia cries out in agony, grief, and loss, and begs Atlasia, Ephraim, and Raedrum to bring him back. In an intense moment, sacrifices are made, and Ray's dad is prepared. The party waits, in tension and anxiousness. But, as luck would have it, in a narrow twist of fate, Nyx is drawn away from the pearly gates, back to life, What awaits now that the party is faced off with some of the big four of the Undershadows? What is next, now that Alencia confesses her love for Nyx? And what repercussions could this whole interaction have? I suppose we'd continue to see.